guys doing? I'm having a Fanta, an orange Fanta. When was the last time you had a cup of sugar? All right. I get thirsty when I do these things, so, cheers. It's just soda. Hey, listen. I thought you guys deserved a good ghost story. I'm calling it a ghost story because I don't know what else to call it. As someone who's been around this stuff a bit, this was a surprise to me. And I'd like to give you the deets. So I'm your host, Teresa Parker, and you're listening to Area 58 Mysteries. And in fact, if you have a story you'd like to send me, I'll read it or interview you on the pod. Basically, we're looking for anything paranormal. I don't care what the subject is. Lay it on me at area58mysteries@gmail. Okay, so about 2011, someone called me. I was still working at DOJ then until May. Then I retired from there. I'm an ex-cop. Did 20 years total, 9 years as a deputy sheriff up north in California, and then 11 years with Department of Justice of California down here in Los Angeles area. And I was transitioning from law enforcement to entertainment at that point. I'm now a SAG actor. I'm on strike, guys. I got lots of time to talk to you, and that's kind of a good thing, actually. Everybody should have a good contract with their union, and if you don't, everybody get together and tell them how it is. So that's what's going on right now. But back then, just starting out, I had done a little bit of work here and there, and somebody called me and said, hey, this movie I'm on, we need a UPM, unit production manager. Never did UPM before, but, I can organize well, and so that's what I did. I went there, and this shoot was in the Malibu Hills, right up the hill. Very steep getting there and very narrow road getting to this vacation home that was rented for this film. Well, because I had to get there early on the first day of shooting, I probably got up at 2 o'clock in the morning at my house, drove over that way, picked up a bunch of food and went to the house. Got there probably about 5 a.m. before everybody else, or not everybody else, but I mean before the actors at least, and before production was actually going to start. And so, I'm noticing that production is moving furniture around, basically tearing up the front room, not damaging it, but just moving it all around. And prior to this, in about 2007, I started getting into ghost hunting. Ghost hunter here. We were the Antelope Valley ghost hunters, and still are to some degree. We have 3 members, and we do like to go out once in a while and see what's up if people call us. But meanwhile, I'm at this shoot here, and it's going well. Everything's going well. Like I said, they're tearing up the house, and me knowing as a ghost hunter what that means if a place is haunted. It didn't hit me then, but it hit me later. This point. If you suspect a place is haunted, let me tell you something. Those folks don't like the spirits, if you will, don't seem to like that. They don't like construction. You're moving, you're changing things, and oftentimes they're very attached to the house. It can be a previous owner, and they don't want it. So they cause trouble, and then crews leave because, they're getting their attention or whatever. And that's a very strong ghost that can do that. But anyway, so day goes on, right? We shoot. And all the actors are there, and there's a mother-in-law house, so the actors are staying over there. And there's 2 bedrooms in the place, and everybody had accommodations except for me. Nobody thought about that, and it wasn't my job as UPM to figure that out. So that night, we got done with everything, went out to dinner late. I probably was ready for sleep about, I want to say 1 a.m., probably. I'd already been up almost 24 hours at that point, so I was super tired. Like I said, no accommodations. So I figured out I can't drive home. I just can't drive home. It's too far. I can't get there in time to get back in the morning to do another day. So I pulled up on the couch. And as I said, everything in that house was moved around. That's a big point. So in front of the couch was a large dolly with, sticky things poking out. It's made of metal, and it's basically for the DP, director of photography, to sit on, and he can bring up the camera, down, over, all that stuff. I'm not an expert in all that, but that's what it's for. They roll it around, and they had one of these inside the house, and without a place to put it, they just shoved it up against this couch. To my knowledge, the couch was never moved, but that dolly was, and everything else in that front room was. This was a long house, and it was, if the ocean, let's just say, is right here, and the heel goes up like this house sat parallel with the ocean. So of course, it's Malibu. You're gonna want to look out at the ocean. So it's a very long house. As you came in the probably what I would consider to be the kitchen or back door, there was a little kitchen nook, and then over here, and then a really long kitchen that met up with now the front room with a bump out for, it was a half circle to look at the ocean. I'm sure it was a formal dining room at one point. And then you had the front room. The couch was against the wall. I remember it rained that day. It was February. So it was big rain. It was very, very heavy rain. And I don't think it was raining by the time I went to bed. It was earlier in the day. So I'm, I've got my back to the wall. I've got my front to the dolly. I've laid down. I got a comforter and a crappy little couch pillow. That's all I had to sleep on. I wasn't necessarily complaining, but I was a little like, how come everybody got a room but me? Someplace to sleep. Nice. So I'm laying there with this stupid pillow, and it wasn't very soon after I laid down and closed my eyes. Trust me, no time at all. Minutes, a few minutes. I'm lying there trying to sleep, and I'm probably thinking about the day, probably thinking about what I'm going to do tomorrow, and I'm starting to drift off. And over on this right shoulder, I would say on the back of the shoulder blade area somewhere, I started feeling a little weird little sensation. And, it's not the first time I've told this story, but I will tell you what I have told others at this point. It felt like a metal worm worming its way under my skin. I know, sounds crazy, but that's what it felt like. Something getting in there, right? I had a comforter on, whatever. So I thought, about the time I was about ready to slap my back, because I thought for sure I was getting bit or something by a bug, I got zapped with energy. It hit me so hard, and you got to pardon my language, this is exactly what I said. Motherfucker! And I arched my back because it zapped me with energy like I've never felt in my whole entire life. I know, it's crazy. I sat there, and then I realized, holy shit, I just got zapped. Whoa. Like, I'd been a ghost hunter, so this was wild for me, but I wasn't 100% surprised. We'd been on a ghost hunt up in Northern California, in Gilroy, on a previous podcast, I talk about it, and the male member in the house, the ghost hunter, got zapped. And that was the first time I heard of that being a thing, getting zapped. So, oh, that's sweet, that's orange. Make my inner child sing. So it zapped me, and I thought, after all that, all those thoughts went through my head, like, whoa, and then, wow, and then, all that. I said, well, I still got to get some sleep. I know, crazy, right? So I turned over the other way. I'm facing the couch, in the back of the couch and the wall. I'm lying there, and boy, it didn't take long, maybe 30 seconds. I got zapped, almost exact same spot, only just on the other shoulder, the exposed. So this was exposed before, and now this one's exposed because I'm turning the other way. And I got zapped again. It was like somebody turned a dial and went, I'm going to go at 100 on the first one, and I'm going to go at 50% on the next one. That's what it felt like. It was a zap, but it was nowhere near the first energy and power that it gave me the first time. And I thought, that is crazy. What is going on? And then it started in again, only this time, and I kid you not, cross my heart, the comforter was back there, and I could feel something depressing the comforter, like a finger, you know, it was going in, you know, going inward. I could feel that comforter depressing, and the next thing you know, I go, I didn't let it go all the way. I didn't let it zap me again. I said, all right. I go, I realize we have screwed up your house. We've moved everything, and that's got you upset. I'm sorry. I apologized to him. I said, but this is what I promise. We will put everything back the way it's supposed to be when we leave. I promise. But now, please, I need to get some sleep. So if you could just, you know, leave me alone. Let me get some sleep. I said this into the ethos. Out. And close my eyes. Now I'm turned back the other way again. And no sooner do I close my eyes than I hear it's like two distinct tones of voices. They're murmuring. I mean, I can't understand what they're saying. This was the very first time I ever heard what I would consider to be spiritual or ghostly, you know, energy, speaking out loud, where I could hear it with my ears. And I thought, that is just crazy. Like they were discussing whether or not they were going to mess with me again, and they decided to go ahead and leave me alone. I don't know. But this is not the only part of the story here. So I go to sleep. I got a wee few hours. And when I say wee few hours, I mean literally not even 4 hours, if that. So next day comes along, and I've told a couple people what's going on, and they came to me and started telling me their stories. I think it was the first night before all this happened. The producer's niece was helping out as a production assistant, a PA. And she smoked cigarettes, and she was only 17. And she walks down the road to smoke a cig, so he wouldn't see her, I guess. And on her way back, she's walking along. She sees to her right. You ever seen those small little Mexican figurines of the little old lady sitting, and it kind of has that shorter shape of a little person sitting, with a shawl and all that stuff. If you've ever seen those, she said that's what it looked like. It had color, and it enthralled her so much, and it surprised her so much to see this. And basically, it was an apparition to see this to her right, and she saw it. She goes, "I nearly ran into the car in front of me, looking to her right, and when she stopped to not run into the car, she looked back and it was gone." That was the first instance of something happening there besides what happened to me. I talked to the actor who called me in and gave me the job, or at least, called me for it. And she was one of the main actors, and she said at some point she was in the Nook, probably about midnight, maybe 12:30, just prior to this all going on. And she said she was hearing some murmuring as well. Yeah, that's what she said. I may have the timing right. It might have been at the same time that I was hearing it. But my point is that she heard murmuring too. And I said, well, I wasn't murmuring, and there wasn't anybody else in the house that was awake, except me, and I wasn't murmuring. She said she was going over her lines very silently. She wasn't saying them out loud. So she heard murmuring, and that kind of confirmed what I was hearing. And then one other actor said during the day of the first day, she was taking a nap, and the main bed in that mother-in-law area was probably a queen or a king, and it had both headboard, footboard. she said she was sleeping with the pillow on her head, probably because it was bright daylight. She was just trying to catch a cat nap. And next thing she knows, something hits the footboard, like kicks it. Off the pillow goes. She looks down, why am I looking that way? That's not why the footboard. She looks down. There isn't anybody in the room. Not a soul. That's amazing. Honestly, that many things going on in one day, plus my zapping. It was the craziest. I've never had that feeling or that kind of an experience on set since. I've never had that experience anywhere I've been that's been purported to be haunted. This was this is very out of the ordinary, unusual circumstance, but at the end of the day, I got the story to tell. It didn't really hurt me. I didn't think to look to see if that was red back there. I never thought to look. I would today, of course, since having that experience. But, yeah, that's my story. And it happened to me. It was absolutely true all the way to the end. I only worked there a couple days. I was only able to work really just a few days, and then somebody else took my place after that. But because what was going on, I think I had to work, actually, regular work. Some of it was on the weekend, so I was able to do it then. But, yeah, pretty unusual. I would say if I had to liken it to something, I would say it's my top experience. I've had a lot of experience. I've had a lot of weird EVPs, some clear, some not so clear. I've had circumstances. Well, I'm going to back up because my podcast that I put out not long ago about our Gilroy investigation was probably my top experience there, and I'm going to give you a teaser here to go watch that one. In that podcast, I talk about me being able to interview a child. I'm on the phone with his mother with a little kid looking up a set of stairs staring at a ghost. He can see it, Mom can't. So I'm basically interviewing the boy in real time via his mother, and I'm not going to give you any more than that. You guys got to go watch that podcast because talk about blowing someone's mind. It came full circle. We tried to figure out who was haunting that little boy, and we actually did find out. So watch that podcast. So who likes Fanta? Me. I didn't get this stuff when I was a kid because my mom wouldn't buy it for me. But she worked at a dairy where they also produced orange juice and stuff like that. And dairy production place. And so we got all the orange juice we could drink, but never got any of that sweet stuff. I hope you guys have a sweet day. And I hope you enjoyed my story. I would like to implore you, if you like my stuff, to both like and subscribe, please, and thank you. I see a lot of people saying, smash that like button, but they never say please. I'm polite that way, so I want you to know I really appreciate any likes you give me, any subscriptions, and also I would really love it if you guys could, send me a comment, on this stuff. If you've been through stuff like this, if you're a ghost hunter, and we talk about all genres here. We like about the ghosts, the Bigfoot, the aliens, and everything in between. But if you like that stuff, please write to me at area58mysteries@gmail. I'll get it. You can remain anonymous if you'd like. If your story is compelling enough and you really want to come on, we definitely will do a podcast. But otherwise, you can just write it out and I'll read it here on camera. I think that's just a cool way to share stories to like-minded people. And I am the kind who I absolutely love personal stories. So if you've got one, send it to me, area58mysteries@gmail. And I'd like to thank you guys for being here today. I hope, as I said, you have a very sweet day. And whatever it is your interests are, go out and do it. There's no time like the present. Have a good one, you guys. This is Teresa Parker signing out for Area 58 Mysteries.